The Second World War created countless stories of sacrifice, but few compare to the astonishing return of one lost man.
Sergeant Jack Eichelberger, an American infantryman, found himself in the brutal cold near the Luxembourg border in late 1944.
The Ardennes Offensive, known historically as the Battle of the Bulge, engulfed Eichelberger's unit in relentless, freezing combat.
In the intense fighting, Jack's position was overrun, leading to a confusion that would profoundly alter his personal history forever.
Following the skirmish, a body was located, identifiable only by the dog tags it carried, confirming a grim fate.
Based on the evidence, the official paperwork was processed quickly, and Sergeant Eichelberger was officially declared deceased in the line of duty. Back in Pennsylvania, the dreaded telegram arrived, crushing his family with the news of their son's heroic demise overseas. The grief was immediate and profound. Plans were made for a memorial service in honor of the fallen son's ultimate sacrifice. Unbeknownst to the family, Sergeant Eichelberger was not dead, but rather unconscious and separated from his unit for days. He had been found by a compassionate French family who risked their lives to nurse the frozen, injured soldier back to health. Weeks later, Eichelberger, weak but determined, finally managed to link up with a different American unit, eager to re-engage the enemy. His sudden reappearance caused an immediate logistical and bureaucratic nightmare for the commanding officers in the field. Officially, he was deceased. His reappearance fundamentally contradicted all official, signed, and documented military records.
Urgent cables were sent across the Atlantic, attempting to rectify the grave error and inform the necessary authorities back home.
The message began its long journey through the labyrinthine channels of wartime bureaucracy and political infrastructure.
While he fought on in Europe, the Eichelberger family held his memorial service, receiving the posthumous military honors for his bravery.
Oblivious to the ceremonies held in his honor, the sergeant continued to fight, enduring the final, difficult months of the European conflict.
The war in Europe finally concluded, and John Eichelberger, the man declared dead, boarded a ship heading for his home country.
Arriving back on American soil, the soldier's extraordinary situation was
Though he had cabled his arrival, the time difference and logistics meant the news of his survival had not yet reached his family.
He stood before the home that believed him lost. The reaction of his Hispanic mother would be the profound.
The impossible had occurred. The man for whom they have grieved was now standing alive on the front steps, safe at last. The story quickly became a national sensation, a vivid, human interest tale that captured the entire country's imagination during peacetime. The military now faced the complicated task of formally correcting his status, moving him from deceased back to actively serving soldier. Even the memorial markers created in his honor had to be amended. His death became a bureaucratic annotation on a surprising life. John Eichelberger returned to a quiet civilian life, his wartime saga becoming a private, unbelievable anecdote he carried forward. His story remains a powerful, moving testament to the confusion of combat, the persistence of life, and the enduring power of family.
The soldier who was declared dead, only to come home alive, ensured that the legend of Sergeant John Eichelberger would never be forgotten.
Many such personal accounts emerged from the ashes of the global conflict, often overlooked in the grand narrative of the war.
Errors in identification were heartbreakingly common, particularly amidst the extreme violence and chaos of the major European campaigns.
Subtle kindness of strangers, often ordinary citizens, was critical for survival when soldiers were separated and injured.
This moment of unexpected human warmth, a small act of charity, represents the silent, personal battles fought away from the front lines.
Eichelberger, like millions, answered the call to duty, leaving behind a normal life for the terrifying unpredictability of global warfare. Life in the field was defined by constant vigilance, shared burdens, and the deep, unbreakable camaraderie among the fighting men.
The hours Eichelberger spent unconscious in the snow were a silent battle for life.
The official declaration of death relied entirely on the ID found, a terrible mistake born of expediency and the necessity of rapid battlefield accounting. While across the sea, a father began the difficult process of writing letters informing other family members of his son's passing. But life, as the saying goes, finds a way, and the sergeant marched toward his destiny, ready to re-engage the ongoing conflict.
Crucial message of his reemergence took days to travel, hampered by wartime logistics and the sheer volume of military traffic.
VE Day arrived, marking the official end of the war in Europe, and the world was suddenly able to turn its attention toward home.
The journey home offered a period of quiet reflection, a chance for the soldier to process the surreal sequence of events that had transpired.
A silent testament to the grief, this hastily made sign waited for a man the family had already laid to rest in their hearts.
Even as he approached, the delayed cable from the military only hinted at a correction of status, creating confusion rather than clarity for the family.
The pure, overwhelming relief of the mother's embrace communicated the depth of the loss she had felt.
Editors quickly grasped the incredible human appeal of the story, racing to print the news of the miraculous and emotional resurrection.
The official record was scrutinized. The case of the dead soldier required a formal and documented legal reversal of his status.
With the stroke of a pen and the weight of official stamps, Sergeant Eichelberger was legally brought back to life in the eyes of the government.
The war was over, the errors were fixed, and the family finally experienced the simple, profound.
His tale serves as an enduring reminder that true human resilience can overcome even the most fatal of official declarations.
John R. Eichelberger's life after the war was a testament to his sheer will, embodying the incredible spirit of a survivor.
Inside military archives, the file detailing Sergeant Eichelberger's incredible journey remains a curious anomaly of the war.
The brutal European winter brought not only cold but also constant, relentless rain, complicating every movement and combat scenario. This was the scene that medics later found, leading them to the unavoidable, though ultimately incorrect, conclusion of his passing.
The real tragedy lay in the fact that the dog tag, a symbol of identity, became the accidental cause of his premature death notice. While in America, a soldier was mourned, he was secretly fighting for life, sheltered by the unwavering courage of European citizens.
Rejoining the fight meant overcoming immense physical obstacles, a testament to his recovery and his determination to fulfill his duty.
The effort to trace and verify Sergeant Eichelberger's sudden reemergence created a tremendous, chaotic backlog in military communications.
The ocean crossing provided a forced pause, a time of quiet anticipation, where the Caucasian.
His attempts to contact his family were plagued by the usual wartime difficulties, ensuring the news of his survival would not be simple.
Hello?
This final, definitive knock shattered the family's world of mourning and brought the incredible truth rushing home in one moment.
In that instant, the South Asian mother transformed into a shock of impossible joy.
Family needed simple, tangible proof. The physical presence of his original identification provided the final, undeniable.
His story gave the country a powerful, desperately needed symbol of hope and a light-hearted conclusion to the long, dark years of conflict.
Even years later, the grave marker remains a silent testament to the clerical error and the extraordinary life that defied its inscription. The narrative of Sergeant Eichelberger raises fundamental questions about identity, bureaucracy, and the fragile nature of life's records in wartime.
For his family, the return of John Eichelberger represented a reversal of time, a miraculous rewriting of their personal, painful history.
The posthumous awards bestowed upon him now had to be officially retracted, a unique and awkward ceremony in the military records.
The simple beauty of the domestic scene, now restored, emphasized the profound value of the life that had almost been lost forever.
The story of John Eichelberger is a vivid metaphor for survival, a man who literally walked out of the valley of the shadow of death.
Yes! The story transcended simple news. It was a powerful narrative of hope that immediately resonated with a nation seeking closure after the conflict.
The location where he was lost, the site of such chaos, will forever be linked to the miraculous discovery of his survival.
The original identification process was understandably rushed, prioritizing the needs of the living over the accurate accounting of the dead. The instrument of their grief, the telegram, was metaphorically crushed and invalidated by the sheer, undeniable reality of his return.
Weeks of secret recovery allowed him to regain his strength, fueled by the hope of rejoining the fight and returning to his family.
Clerical error was categorized as a massive oversight,
a consequence of the desperate circumstances under which battlefield reports were generated. As the ship approached home, the enormity of his story, the official death, and the impossible return settled upon the returning soldier.
The final moment of anticipation, the threshold between the world of the deceased and the reality of the living, was upon him.
This unforgettable reunion, a scene of impossible reversal, was a personal miracle witnessed by the entire extended family.
Even hardened newsmen were moved by the powerful human element of the story, recognizing its profound importance to the public. In the vast system of military records, his was the rare case that required an almost total recreation of official wartime chronology.
His official existence was meticulously reconstructed, with the incorrect documentation of his death being systematically erased from the records.
The community embraced the miracle, the story of the soldier who came home becoming a local legend, whispered among neighbors and children.
The ultimate mystery of the identity of the body found with his dog tags was never fully solved, a somber footnote to the amazing narrative.
Sergeant Eichelberger used his new lease on life to pursue education and build a career, dedicating himself to a peaceful future. John R. Eichelberger lived a long, full life after his incredible return, his story serving as a constant source of inspiration and reflection.
The soldier who was once listed among the war dead lived to enjoy the peace for which he had so bravely fought in the freezing European winter.
The family portrait, taken after his return, encapsulates the profound joy of a life restored against the... The incredible tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is a powerful, final chapter on the personal dramas of the Second World War. His story remains a footnote of incredible humanity, a bright, unforgettable star.
Days before his disappearance, the unit was engaged in constant strategic planning, attempting to navigate the volatile Bulge engagement.
The intensity of the fighting in the Ardennes was devastating, characterized by rapid assaults and indiscriminate...
The moment he, a young Hispanic male, lost consciousness, the equipment that identified him and kept him safe was scattered, leading to the identification error.
In the frantic pace of wartime record-keeping, the presence of the tags was usually sufficient proof for a final, irreversible declaration.
The entire nation shared in the Greek, hearing the roll call of the dead, unaware that her son's name had been placed on the list by mistake.
Recovered enough to communicate, he began the process of reorienting himself, seeking a way back to the Allied lines.
The moment he re-entered the official system was fraught with tension. An unknown soldier emerging from behind enemy lines required extreme caution.
The message confirming his survival was highly unusual, forcing the field command to use all capital letters to emphasize the urgency and gravity.
Despite the urgency, the logistical reality of transatlantic communication meant the message of hope was still subject to significant wartime delays.
Back home, a second, equally important but less tragic piece of mail was finally delivered, destined to change the family's world yet again. This single step from the train marked the final, official end of his war service and the beginning of his new, restored life.
The sound of the knock prompted a cautious look through the door's spy hole, leading to the East Asian mother's immediate, terrifying realization.
The touch was essential. The need to confirm that the man standing before her was not a ghost, but truly her flesh and blood son. The hours that followed were filled with unbelievable explanations, the soldier reconstructing the impossible narrative of his miraculous survival.
The mystery of the second dog tag, the one found with the unidentified body, remains the most poignant, unsolved detail of the entire event.
His story provides a rare, powerful glimpse into the administrative difficulty of correcting an error of life and death within the massive bureaucracy of war.
Even in his life, his story stands as an honor to all those whose identities were lost in the fog of war, known or unknown.
The quiet simplicity of post-war civilian life, walking a dog in the park, was the ultimate reward for surviving the European theater. The tale of the soldier who returned from the dead is a beam of profound light, cutting through the surrounding darkness of wartime loss.
The training before deployment stressed the critical importance of keeping personal identification secure, especially in hostile conditions.
As the German counteroffensive hit hard, the chaotic environment made it nearly impossible for soldiers to maintain a complete inventory of personal gear.
The physical loss of identification and the ensuing confusion was the simple catalyst for the bureaucratic, life-altering error that followed.
The grim, rapid accounting of the dead demanded speed over absolute certainty, leading to the confirmation of his fictional demise. The day of the memorial service was a blur of respectful grief, marking a formal end to the life they believed had been tragically extinguished.
His caretakers faced constant, terrifying danger, knowing that harboring an American soldier meant immediate execution if they were discovered.
Finally, in a position to communicate, the soldier began the necessary process of verification, signaling his true, living status to the military. The startling news of Sergeant Eichelberger's survival first arrived as a highly unusual, authenticated phone call that stunned the recipients.
The message carrying the truth about John Eichelberger was finally reaching American shores, zeroing in on his unsuspecting family's location.
The arrival of the correction notice was bewildering, a contradictory follow-up to the grief they had only recently and formally processed. Touching the name of his home state was a moment of profound, simple finality, an end to his European odyssey and a new beginning.
In the presence of the man she had mourned, the official correction of status was rendered meaningless by the sheer, overwhelming reality. The true battle, the ordeal of his separation and survival, was only now being shared with the two people who loved him most.
The national narrative of the war was instantly revised to include this incredible story, a new headline replacing the old, somber reports. His status was finally and formally rectified, the military closing the file on the case of the soldier who had walked back from the dead.
John R. Eichelberger's post-war life became a quiet, powerful symbol of enduring American resilience and the ability to overcome great adversity.
Small, personal mementos from his time in hiding served as private reminders of the kindness and risk taken by his French benefactors.
His tale became a permanent feature in the historical record, a dramatic and unique example of a rare administrative error in wartime.
The initial news of his death created a fog of uncertainty that was only finally cleared by the stunning, dramatic clarity of his physical return.
The story of John Eichelberger stands as a profound reminder that even the deepest tragedy can sometimes be reversed by the sheer force of life.
The initial engagement was a storm of incoming fire, forcing the men to take cover wherever the frozen, muddy ground allowed them to hide.
The soldier lay for an unknown time, his life sustained only by the thick uniform and the insulating blanket of the light, fresh fallen snow.
The simple piece of metal, a critical tool for identification, was destined to become the key that unlocked the devastating mistake.
The soldier's personal effects were meticulously collected and recorded, to be sent home to the family in a painful, final delivery. The arrival of the personal items was the ultimate, physical confirmation of the death, sealing the family's grief and acceptance of the loss.
Under the cover of total darkness, the French family shielded the recovering American, praying daily for his continued health and safety.
Having recovered, the next challenge was re-establishing contact with his own forces without being mistakenly identified as an enemy soldier.
The incident sparked an immediate, high-level inquiry to determine how the critical error in the soldier's identification had been allowed to happen. Once verified, the official news of his survival traveled much faster than the initial, false report of his tragic and untimely death.
With the arrival of the correction, the symbol of their deepest sorrow could finally be discarded, the pain of the past put away forever. The immediate, public celebration of the returning troops faded into the quiet dignity of his personal, private reunion with the family.
The flood of impossible joy was mixed with the residual tears of the grief she had been forced to carry for so many difficult months.
The soldier provided every detail he could, giving his family the context and the heroes who were responsible for his incredible second chance at life.
The news of his return brought a burst of needed positivity, a human story of survival to counteract the
His combat bravery was re-acknowledged. The honors earned in the chaos of battle were officially bestowed upon the living hero. John Eichelberger's story remains a permanent, inspiring point on the long, complicated timeline of the great global conflict.
The physical markers of his mistaken demise were officially and publicly corrected, closing the chapter on his bureaucratic death.
His incredible story now rests in the archives of history, a permanent and compelling example of the unexpected narratives of war. The tale of the soldier who returned is a moving study in perseverance, proving that hope can emerge.
John R. Eichelberger's story is the ultimate example of a second chance, a life of profound meaning built upon an almost fatal error.
Maintaining control of essential gear, especially the rifle, was paramount in the chaotic, close-quarters fighting of the Ardennes region.
As the front line moved swiftly, the noise of combat faded, leaving the isolated, unconscious soldier alone in the...
The initial, more cautious assessment should have listed him as missing in action, but the pressures of war favored a final, immediate designation. The field commander, faced with scant evidence and the need for immediate accounting, sealed the soldier's fate with a single, tragic checkmark. The family performed the quiet, necessary rituals of grief, physically putting away the memories of the life they believed was irrevocably lost.
Merci. Merci beaucoup, mon ami.
Driven by a singular resolve, the soldier began the long, dangerous trek back toward the known lines of the active, ongoing Allied forces. The official record was in a state of utter administrative turmoil, the simple truth contradicting all the established procedures and documents. Once the facts were verified, the military moved quickly to ensure the correction of status reached the family with the utmost haste and priority. The envelope containing the truth, the correction, forced the father to confront the painful symbols of his son's perceived death.
The moment of arrival, while celebratory for the nation, was a surreal, emotionally intense moment for the soldier, who knew his family grieved him.
The act of retelling the story was an emotional release, a necessary cleansing of the family's world from the tragic shatter of his false death.
The old story was officially retired, relegated to the archives as a strange, poignant error in the grand, collective history of the war.
The official record was formally purged of the error, with the new, clean document confirming his true and ongoing status in the Army.
His life became a mosaic of small, peaceful moments, a quiet but profound victory over.
The memento was treated as a sacred object, a tangible symbol of the kindness that had bridged the gap between death.
For those who study the past, the incredible saga of Sergeant Eichelberger remains a compelling case study in the human element of historical record.
Final, true clarity of the situation was a relief that was shared not only by his family, but by the entire military command structure.
The tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is an eternal beacon, illuminating the profound power of hope that always guides us home.
The grim necessity of identification was a constant reality, a final duty to ensure that no soldier's sacrifice was left unrecorded.
The rescue of the frozen, unconscious soldier was an act of immense bravery, carried out in secret under the constant, chilling threat of discovery.
The only rational explanation for the error was the presence of a second, unidentified dog tag, misplaced in the immediate chaos of the battle.
Even in the field, a faint sense of doubt persisted, leading to an immediate, though unhelpful, note of a potential identification mistake.
The father, having received the correction notice, held on to the sealed box, unwilling to face the grief until the incredible truth was physically confirmed.
The act of folding the blanket was a final, small gesture of gratitude toward the selfless family who had offered him warmth. Every step forward was a physical manifestation of his survival, moving him further away from the danger and closer to the hope of his return.
It's true!
The final, corrected message reached its destination, signaling the end of the confusion and the beginning.
Refusing to open the final, tragic contents, the father's hope was a powerful defiance of the military's official. The true weight of the situation, the knowledge of his family's grief, hit the soldier most profoundly at the final, crucial moment of his arrival. The simple act of entering the family home became a powerful, physical symbol of his return from the final.
The physical reunion allowed the family to bridge the gap of his absence. The simple touch of hands.
The old story was buried, replaced by the fresh, powerful, and clean narrative of a miracle that had brought a lost hero back to the nation.
The final, administrative end of the saga was marked with a gesture of profound, official respect for the soldiers.
The official record was fundamentally altered by the brief, yet profound, period in which the living soldier was considered to be among the lost.
The artifact of his great escape was passed down, a tangible symbol connecting the soldier's incredible wartime past His presence in the halls of history is an everlasting reminder of the human dramas that often go unseen in the sweeping narratives of military conflict. Final, true clarity of the situation was a relief that was shared not only by his family, but by the entire military command structure.
The story of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is a testament to the unyielding, unsinkable
The of the bulge was a constant state of flux, forcing soldiers to rely on their intuition and outdated maps to navigate the battle space.
Believing the soldier had perished from his injuries, the French family performed a small, private memorial at the site of his discovery.
The mystery of the misplaced dog tag remains a dark, final piece of the puzzle, a somber reminder of the unidentified East Asian man who truly fell that day.
The true, permanent record was secured. The painful evidence of the administrative mistake was finally and officially filed away forever.
The father, having waited, knew that the true contents of the box would never matter now that the soldier himself was on his way back home.
The soldier left the cottage and his saviors with an immense, unspoken debt of gratitude, forever linked by the incredible act of selfless compassion.
The sheer improbability of his survival and re-entry to the Allied forces suggested an almost impossible convergence.
The correction of his status essentially required the military to recreate a timeline, reversing the moment he was mistakenly declared officially lost.
The final, true news arrived. A profound, colorful resolution to the dark,
The box and its contents were preserved, not as symbols of death, but as a final, physical reminder of the miracle of
The internal battle between his knowledge and his family's grief was resolved in that moment, giving way to the simple,
The outside world and its devastating errors were locked out. The simple, private sanctuary of the family was finally and completely restored.
The family unit, once broken by the terrible news, was now completely and irrevocably restored. Strong.
his story became a true gem, a profound narrative of hope that transcended the simple disposal.
The final, official closure of the case was a quiet, profound act. A solo acknowledgement of the impossible. The profound stability of his post-war life emphasized the severity of the temporary, devastating break in the continuity of his official existence.
His story, now firmly established in the archives, remains a powerful teaching moment, a testament.
The peace that followed the chaos was hard-won, a clarity that replaced the agonizing doubt and fear.
Amidst the constant danger, small acts of human generosity and shared comfort were the fleeting moments that maintained morale and humanity.
The heartfelt, mistaken memorial by his saviors underscores the true depth of human compassion, even in the
The meticulous process of administrative correction served to calm the chaotic record, restoring order to the bureaucracy of the American military.
The father's final, reflective act was a moment of quiet gratitude, the memory of the mistake now serving only to...
The departure from his rescuers was the final, definitive step in his journey, closing the chapter on his secret survival and rejoining the war.
The journey was difficult, but the visible, distant symbol of his country provided the constant, powerful motivation.
Passage of official time was finally correct. The temporary, devastating break in the soldier's record now completely and finally resolved.
The official correction was complete. The true resolution was the soldier's simple, physical presence, happily reunited with his beloved family.
The box was sealed, the memory of the mistake protected and archived, the soldier's true life officially and finally allowed. The final, single tear represented the complete and total release of the months of isolation.
The small, white flower was a private symbol of his survival, replacing the symbolic red poppy that had been...
The tension was finally broken, replaced by the simple, restorative joy of shared laughter and the comforting...
The story of Eichelberger ascended beyond the news cycle, becoming a permanent, precious anecdote in the collective.
The final, administrative end of the saga was marked by the simple, quiet act of the chair being closed.
The life continued its destined course,
a path that was powerfully diverted but ultimately restored by his own perseverance and the kindness of others.
The cherished artifact of his great escape was safely housed, a permanent symbol of the human heart's capacity.
The enduring, documented truth of his incredible story was finally, officially, and permanently recorded in the
profound, final clarity of the situation was a relief that was shared not only by his family, but by the entire military command structure.
The profound tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is the final, powerful word on the resilience of a human life that refused to be extinguished.
The bonds of military brotherhood were critical in the dark, chaotic conditions of the Bulge, relying on each other for protection and survival. The honest, heartfelt grief of his saviors was a poignant testament to the human.
The record of the error and its correction was permanently sealed, filed away as a rare and unique case in the official annals of the military.
The memory of the tragic mistake was now archived. The chapter of his death was officially and finally closed by his determined and hopeful father. The cottage, his sanctuary, was left with a silent, simple testament to the profound, selfless compassion.
The soldier's long, arduous journey was finally and completely over. He was now fully back in the
The final, clear path of his return was now drawn. A simple, definitive line connecting the war.
The final chapter of the mistake was placed in the archives, the family's focus now completely and finally directed toward the present and the future.
The internal storm of his ordeal was completely over, replaced by the profound, simple, and lasting peace of a soul.
The simple act of the closed door became the ultimate symbol of the family's restored, secure, and permanent private sanctuary from the outside world. The final, quiet toast was a gesture of profound, shared gratitude for the second chance at life and the complete.
The administrative end of the saga was finally and totally complete, the room left empty, awaiting only the next routine, predictable case.
The story of the African-American soldier who came home became the beginning of a new, long, and continuous chapter.
The artifact of his great escape was passed down, a profound, simple symbol connecting the veteran's incredible. The incredible story, now fully archived, rests in the collective memory, enduring case study in the dramatic.
The final, true clarity of the situation was a relief that was shared not only by his family, but by the entire military command structure.
The incredible tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is the final, powerful word on
the brief, fleeting moment of reflection allowed the soldier to confront the harsh reality of his own existence and his place in the war.
The memorial to the soldier, though mistaken, was quickly covered by the relentless, all-encompassing blanket of.
The final, tragic mystery of the unknown soldier was never definitively solved. His identity lost forever.
The final administrative end of the saga was marked with a gesture of respect for the unique, rare case of the soldier who had walked back from the dead.
The final chapter of the mistake was fully concealed, the family's focus now completely and permanently directed toward the present and the future. The memory of the profound kindness of his saviors remained, a silent, illuminated beacon of human compassion.
The long, arduous journey was now only a memory. The road itself a symbol of the hard.
The final, official record of the mistake was now permanently sealed. The administrative time of the error completely and finally resolved and stopped.
The soldier's long, documented journey was over. The map itself now a simple, clear, and final testament. The final chapter of the mistake was placed in the deepest archives, the family's focus now completely and directly.
The true, permanent peace of the soldier was finally achieved. A profound, lasting tranquility.
The simple, closed door, bathed in the light of his return, became the ultimate symbol of the final, shared moment of peace, symbolized by the white dove, was a profound, powerful testament to the
The final, official closure of the case was an act of profound, definitive finality, the feather symbolizing
The soldier's long, complete life was finally resolved. The narrative dissolved into the final, simple, and profound act.
The final, permanent memory of the profound kindness received was preserved. A silent. The incredible story, now fully archived, rests in the collective memory.
The ultimate peace that followed the chaos was hard-won, a clarity that replaced the agonizing doubt and
The profound tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is the final, powerful word on the resilience of a human life that refused to be extinguished.
The brief, internal moment of questioning his purpose was resolved, replaced by the simple, unwavering determination to survive and to serve.
The final, simple, red dot of the mistaken memorial was completely covered, leaving only the profound, peace.
The final, tragic mystery of the unknown soldier was never definitively solved. His identity lost.
The final administrative end of the saga was marked with the total, final absence of the record, the unique case completely and finally resolved.
The final chapter of the mistake was placed in the deepest archives, the family's focus now completely and finally directed. The final, profound kindness of his saviors remained, a silent, illuminated beacon of
The long, arduous journey was now only a memory, the road itself a symbol of the hard-won.
The final, official record of the mistake was now permanently sealed, the administrative time of the error completely and finally resolved and stopped. The soldier's long, documented journey was over, the map itself now a simple. The final chapter of the mistake was placed in the deepest archives, the family's focus now completely and finally directed toward the present and the future.
The true, permanent peace of the soldier was finally achieved, a profound, lasting tranquility.
The simple, closed door, bathed in the light of his return, became the ultimate symbol of the family's
The final official closure of the case.
The soldier's long, complete life was finally resolved. The narrative dissolved into the final, simple. The final, permanent memory of the profound kindness received was preserved. A silent,
The ultimate peace that followed the chaos was hard-won, a clarity that replaced the agony.
The profound tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is the final, powerful word on the resilience of a human life that refused to be extinguished. The brief, internal moment of an East Asian man questioning his purpose was resolved, replaced by the simple, The final, tragic mystery of the unknown soldier was never definitively solved, his identity lost forever in the final administrative end of the saga was marked with the total, final absence of the record, the unique case completely and finally resolved.
The final chapter of the mistake was placed in the deepest archives, the family's focus now completely and
The final, profound kindness of his saviors remained, a silent, illuminated beacon of human compassion. The final, official record of the mistake was now permanently sealed, the administrative time of the error completely and finally resolved and stopped. The soldier's long, documented journey was over, the map itself now a simple, clear, and the incredible tale of Sergeant John R. Eichelberger is the final, powerful word on the resilience of a human life that refused to be extinguished.